Dear members and guests, I'm Ergin, and right now I've lived in Canada for almost 9 years, and this will be the second longest I've lived in a single country. I was born in Albania and lived there until sixth grade. Both my parents were researchers, and they would usually travel and work across different universities in Europe. In sixth grade, I moved to Germany, into a town called Karlsruhe, fairly small, about 300,000 people, and I stayed there for 3 years. After that, I moved once again, this time to Belgium, into a small town called Hasselt, 50,000 people, for another year before finally coming to Canada in 2001. When I moved to Germany, I was placed in a regular classroom. There was only one problem with this plan, and that was the fact that I couldn't speak a single word of German at the time. So before the first day of school, I tried to memorize a few common phrases like what my name is or where I come from. And I was speaking to someone. I was very nervous, confused, and I told them in German, "Ich komme mit Albanien," which literally translated means "I come with Albania." Obviously, they're looking at me with wondering what I just mean by that, and I have no idea what I've just said. I'm just standing back with a blank expression on my face, and it's still one of the moments I facepalm about when I think about nowadays. After Germany, I moved to Belgium, and here I faced the same problem once again, and that's the fact that I couldn't speak any Dutch. Luckily, I was 11 at the time, and I was still young. So in Germany, after about 3 months, I was able to hold a conversation in German, and after about 6 months, I was able to take part in any school activities or understand pretty much everything, and was fairly fluent at it. Dutch, on the other hand, was a bit more different as a language. It was a combination of English, German, and French all in one language, which was fairly confusing, and it would cause me to always confuse Dutch words with German words and vice versa. And my memories at the time are also fairly fuzzy, since I moved from like a town of 300,000 people to a small town of 50,000. It was almost like a village. I remember a bike paths, and I would bike everywhere. I lived next to a farm with horses running around, and it was very surreal at the time. When I finally moved to Canada in 2001, I didn't have any language trouble. I knew English very well. I was placed in 10th grade and was able to graduate high school, go to university, and end up here at IBM. Now, while preparing for this speech, it gave me an opportunity to think more in depth about how traveling and living in so many places influenced me. And I guess in regards to school, one of the influences was that math sort of became my default favorite subject. Since, well, for math, it's almost everywhere it's the same. The language barrier is fairly low, and it was the best opportunity for me to stand out instead of just appearing like the guy that knows nothing about anything. So with math, I was able to take part in classroom discussions and solve problems within like a few weeks of joining the school. And as a result, that probably led to my liking of computer science and my whole choice of university degree and career afterwards. And another thing that was consistent in every place that I visited was my family. It was sort of a culture shock having to move around everywhere, new places, and not knowing anyone. And I found out that my family would always sort of be there for me, close by, and I could always turn to them in case I didn't have any friends or anyone else to help me. and that sort of created a bigger bond with them. And so these two have been my anchors throughout my growing up period. Thank you for allowing me to share part of who I am and how I ended up being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ergin, for a wonderful speech.